friends. I'm your host, Erin Port, and welcome to the Simple Purposeful Living podcast. Life can be overwhelming and busy, so once a week, I invite you to join me, and together we will make simple tweaks to uncomplicate the hard parts of our life so we can spend more time doing what we love. I'm currently hiding out in my podcast studio, aka the closet, because there are a million cars lined up on our street. We've officially started our backyard project that, by the way, was supposed to start in August, but got leapfrogged till this week. So it's been a bit of a journey, and I'm definitely not sleeping very well. But we're super excited about our backyard project. We're putting in a pool. It's something that I wanted to do forever. I'm always looking for ways to entice our children to come home, to be hospitable, to invite their friends in. And I have an unpopular opinion that I would take a pool all day long over the beach. I know some of you are guffawing, but the sand gets to me. That's just my personality. And my family loves to swim, and we're really looking forward to it. So I know the stress is going to be worth it, but I also am looking forward to sleeping through the night. Again, but I have my coffee in hand, and this is I think of this week as the unofficial mark of halfway through summer. It's not, because my kids don't go back to school until August 23rd, so we are maybe a third of the way through. But for whatever reason, 4th of July just makes me think midsummer, I want to reflect what is working, what's not, what do we need to tweak? And I thought that this would be helpful to you as we kind of set the intention back in May of the things I had kind of thought we were going to do. And I thought it'd be good to go back and say, this is working, this isn't, so that you know as well. So let's go ahead and start. We talked about expectations and how expectations can be the thief of all joy, especially those that are unintentional, right? Like might have this idea in our head. For example, one of the unintended expectations I had to check this summer that I hadn't even thought about was that I don't have to be part of every one of my kids' memories. For whatever reason, I got it into my head that I want them to remember me as a fun mom, and I want to be with them, but I also have to work. And, many of my fondest summer memories, some of them included my mom, but one summer my mom worked at a CPA office, and I ran a summer camp for my sister. I know this is no surprise. I even had a lunch meal plan. I had a daily activity for her and her little neighbor friends. I loved that. And I know for a fact, my mom has said to me, that was the summer she thought she failed because she was working and not around as much. She normally stayed home with us. And I just remember having the fondest memories. So it's a good reminder to me that I don't have to be part of every one of my kids' memories for them to have an awesome summer. Another one, expectation that I realized that kind of goes back to last week's podcast episode all about rest and the 7 types of rest, was that I can still meet my own needs. And one of those things is I need a little bit of alone time to recharge. There is a lot of input, a lot of sensory input, mental input, mental gymnastics of our schedule. And I just find that I need a little bit of quiet and alone. And I find that early in the morning and right before bed when I'm resting. Sometimes it's sitting alone in the car, going for a walk, even going out to coffee or lunch with a friend. But having a little bit of time to care for my needs is important. And I had let that slip, and maybe you have too. So that's something I've checked with my expectations. Another expectation is I like to be in control. I like to have my ducks in a row. And this summer, my ducks are most certainly not in a row because I don't have very much control, whether it was the pool project moving from August to the middle of June, or things happening with my kids, change of schedule. It's so much is out of my control, and I like to have control. And so when I don't, it feels like shifting sand under my feet, and it can make me feel really unstable, not mentally, but just kind of like it just makes everything feel very unsettled in my soul. And I have to just acknowledge that, like, okay, this is how I feel, but this is out of my control, or this is what I can control. What can I tweak right now? What do we need right now? And so that has been just acknowledging that I don't always get to have full control. Gosh darn it. If you have a tweak for that, you DM me. And the last expectation was one that my business coach recommended to me, my friend Allie Worthington. And at first, I kind of guffawed because I'm an Enneagram 3, so I'm an achiever. So I always want to do my best, right? Like I always have the bar set really high. And she said something to me and she said, "What is the lowest bar you can set in some of these areas?" And at first, I was like, why? Why would I want to set the lowest bar? But it's almost like this idea of like, there are going to be days, today is one of them, where I might only hit the lowest bar. And at least I know what the lowest bar is. And so that I can hit it when things aren't ideal. So for one of them, she was like, "What is the lowest bar for your morning routine?" And I was like, you know what? If I could, I got a Bible study for this summer that's by Claire Reeves from Clearly Stated, and it has a little scripture, it has thoughts by her, and a prayer, and 5 questions. And if I can go through that, it takes me about 5 or 10 minutes minimum. If I can go through that and then like do a little prayer time, so 15 minutes tops. That really just helps me set up for success for the day. 15 minutes. Now, if I had longer and my, like my achieving self, like I have more things I'd like to do, gratitude journal, longer prayer time, maybe reading a few pages of a nonfiction book, right? Like there's more, but that was something that I needed to check, and it has been so helpful. So maybe for you, it's meals. Like maybe you normally go out for meals and you're like, but what is the lowest bar? Like, am I good with frozen chicken nuggets and french fries tonight? Like, I don't know what it is for you, but rather than thinking like, what is the highest bar? Like, what's the lowest that I'm still like can go to bed tonight and be like, I did it. I did it. Right? That's been really helpful. Okay, moving on to food because, oh my, I always forget. Why do we forget? Anybody else? How much food my children eat in the summertime? Oh my goodness. It's this is something we have had to tweak every single week. I've had to go to the grocery store more times than usual. Because we've been running out of food or they use it for lunch, something that I needed for dinner, right? Like that just, it happens and we're tweaking our way. But I forgot how much my grocery bill increases in the summertime. And so that has been definitely a little bit of a sticker shock. I'm partly recording this so I can listen to this next May and remind myself of this is happening, right? We're going to listen to this podcast next May. But yes, I would say that's number one is just I'm surprised at how much and things change or the kids have to go somewhere and we need to make something or they need to bring something, all of those sorts of things. But something that has been working that I was almost shocked about is a tweak we made this summer. I told you the kids were going to start making lunches and there's 4 of them. And so one day a week, they each make a lunch and, it's been working great. They've owned it. There's like the first week they kind of complained and now it's just part of the routine. And so maybe that's just a nice note in and of itself is that like get past the complaining and it just becomes a part of the routine and they just, they're like, well, this mom's expecting this. This is how it's going to go. The one thing I would say when it comes to kids making lunch is I have to remind myself that we don't have to set, again, the bar high. What is the lowest bar? Like if they make the same, each kid makes the same 1 to 2 or 3 things all summer long. Oh, wow. Right? Like at least they learned 1 to 3 meals and they're making it. The pressure's off of me. Like that's the win. Like I think sometimes we have to define what the win is. And for me, it's I don't have to make lunch. They're practicing a life skill and it doesn't have to have a ton of variety. Like I'm good with that. They're good with that. Like who am I trying to impress? Like, is it the internet with all the, like, I think sometimes I have to check myself in that. So kids cooking lunch is going great. Like, besides them stealing the food I sometimes need for dinner, which is totally fine. And then lowering the bar a little bit with like how much variety they're making. Like they're perfectly happy making the same sorts of things over and over again. They eat the same sorts of things all year long at school. What's the difference for lunch? So that's been good as well. And then we started the sibling lunch that has gone viral on Instagram. And I love that because it's such an easy way for our kids to connect. So 4 days a week, they cook their lunch and then one day a week, they go out for lunch. And it was going to alternate between me and them. I said that on the onset, like one week I would go out to lunch with them and one week they'd go out as siblings. And for the most part, it's actually ended up just being siblings because they're having so much fun. And I love that they're getting this time together. Again, it's like incentivized connection. That's what I call it. Like, how can I incentivize connection? It's like buying the soda and putting it in the the kid fridge in the basement so that their friends come over. Like, I'll buy the fun pops and sodas and drinks and candy and all that stuff so that, they come to our house and want to hang out, right? It's incentivized connection. It's the same with the sibling lunch. They get to pick where they go. Scott and I foot the bill. All I ask is a proof of life photo and that they aren't on their phones the whole time. And they've been doing a great job. The little two hold them accountable. And they've been having a blast going to all the different places. They've been going to places that are dairy and gluten unfriendly because I can't go to them. So they've been to like Dave's Hot Chicken and Dairy Queen. I don't know what is next on their agenda, but this week we are halting sibling lunch and we are going out for family lunch because it's Lucille's birthday. And so we will be doing that. But then they'll be back to sibling lunch in July. So that has been working great. Highly recommend it. Breakfast on their own has been working pretty well as well. I still have to remind them to take care of their morning chores. They're getting a little lackadaisical and wanting to just like chill and relax and then they don't get done. So having them just remember to take care of like the dishwasher and putting their dishes in the sink and not just leaving, wrappers everywhere. Oh, but they just getting a few options for breakfast and then having them do it on their own has been great, especially as they're getting up at different times. I have some getting up early for weightlifting and football, and then some days they sleep in, all that such a thing. Another thing that we have been loving, I think it's probably the highlight of my summer season, is family dinners. I've talked about this before, that during the school year, I don't own their schedule anymore, especially once they're in high school. They've got practices and games, and I can't be like, well, they won't be there today. Unless it's like a major family thing. And so summer dinners are my favorite. We sit on the back deck. We've been playing. I've talked about it ad nauseum. I know, the winner at the dinner game, but it is so fun. We've had so many laughs. The kids kind of linger. The big kids linger. We chat about life. Uh, Family dinner is just, and I've been meal planning simple meals. I've been using that meal rotation of grilling, sandwiches, things like that, that just make it easy to put together. I'm not spending a ton of time in the kitchen, but getting dinner around the table. So good. And then, like I said, the only other thing is just figuring out like the how much food to buy for the summertime. It's not really even snacks. They've been doing fine on snacks. We've been doing the same snack baskets that we all always do during the school year. It's really just knowing how much food we need for dinner and how much food we need for lunch because I just never know how many leftovers we're going to have, what they want, all of those sorts of things. So we're just having to kind of flex and not be disappointed at myself that, I didn't figure it out this week and I got to go to the store again. It just, it's just like every time you go to the store, other things hop in the cart. You know how that goes. Okay, let's talk about our schedule. I really had hoped I would have a morning block time to work. That was in my ideal. And then I forgot that things happen. Like this week, the girls have dance, so I have to drop them off. And Quincy has tennis. And Scott Solon is helping a lot with kid Ubering, but it's still me kind of like stepping out of my work zone to be able to like direct traffic, if you will, and then hop back in. So I'm not getting like dedicated morning blocks of time. So my work day is a little more chopped up, which makes me feel like I'm working longer, even though like the hours, if I were to connect them, are still shorter. So that we've had to kind of tweak, and I've had to think about, okay, what can I actually get done today? The thing that's been most helpful for me when it comes to work is naming the 3 things I need to get done today, like to be able to move forward. Like today for me, it's the record this podcast and prep the reel for last week's podcast. And then I just got my notes back from my manuscript for book number 2. And so I need to look over those and read those notes and kind of process what my editor had to say so that I continue writing my manuscript. So those are kind of my 3 things that I need to get done today in the midst of kid Ubering and all of those sorts of things. And that really helps me to be able to name that. So that would be my suggestion as well. The weekly plan notepad is saving us. Every Friday, I sketch out our week for the next week. I've gotten Solon and Scott to write down anything that they have that might affect our schedule. So Solon's been taking flight lessons all summer. So when he gets those on the calendar, he invites us I taught him how to do iCal and I have him invite me to it so I know and it's on my schedule so that I'm not resting on him to take a kid someplace when he's going to be flying. And then the same with I have him put it on the weekly plan notepad. So like today he's flying, so I know he's going to be leaving around 11:30 to go do that, so I can't rely on him to help me out. So that has been good, being able to communicate with him. That has taken a little flexing. I've talked about that online of like um, having them remember that when their plans change, it affects other people. I don't think anybody inherently means to be disrespectful. It's just like, hey, when your plans change, let me know because that affects us too, whether it's not making a meal or you're not going to be home for dinner, or you're not going to be home for lunch, all of those sorts of things. So we've been flexing on that and then having the kids write in things that they have going on just so that we're on the same page. And then if their plans change in the moment, just having them text us. I always tell them, I'm not going to say no unless, like you really can't, like something's major, but just text me to be like, hey, I'm actually going to do this instead. Great, then I'm not worried about you. So just working through that with communication with our kids has been really helpful. And then I did start the sticky notes on the door. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago on Scott and I's anniversary podcast that it was a tweak that I needed, where at the very beginning of the summer, the kids were asking me a bunch of things, and then they would put it on the sticky note on the door. And then when I was done working, then I would talk to them about it. I think we've sunk into the summer enough that they've kind of figured out what questions they need to bring to me, what not. So we haven't been doing that as much, but that was really helpful in the transition. And then I have been working away from home a little bit. I want to do this a little bit more just because I do find that I'm way more productive if I'm away from home. I worked at a coffee shop yesterday and I got like so much done in an hour's time just because that's how my mind works is like if I have a time crunch, I just punch it out really fast. So that's some updates on our schedules. Okay, update on tech. I had said to you that we were going to use Brick this summer. And then when we got to researching it, we found that on the settings on our iPhone, so my kids are on a family plan on my account. So if you go to settings in your iPhone, it'll say, for me, it says family, and all of my kids are on there. Lucille has an iPad. Solon and Vera both have phones. And so if you click on one of them, you can go to screen time and you can set app limits. You can manage their screen time. And so at the very bottom, it says manage screen time. You can set a screen time passcode and make sure that the screen time turns off when they're done. We have set it at 4.5 hours. And I feel like that's plenty of screen time. But it allows them to kind of manage it themselves. They have definitely hit it some days. They've definitely asked for more some days. There's been days where they have not managed their responsibilities, and we've lowered the screen time for a little bit so that they remember that this is, what they do after their responsibilities. But I think we're going to actually continue this. Again, my job, like, I don't want to be like helicoptering this, but when it comes to phone time, setting some boundaries and helping them set up some boundaries around it, it can be so addictive. I find it so addictive. I've had to set up boundaries. And so I'm trying, and Scott and I are trying to help them set up boundaries and help them navigate. What does it feel like when I'm on there for too long? What else can I do? Can I get bored and do something else? Right? I think it has been healthy and good. Again, this is what's working for our family. I wouldn't say it works for everybody, but going into the settings app and just setting for us a reasonable amount, maybe more than I would want, but I feel like it helped the kids buy in, if you will. And then updates on rest. Last week we talked about rest on the podcast, social rest. I have been very much more cognizant of making sure that's part of my schedule. I told you my knee-jerk reaction every summer is I want to spend all the time with my kids, and then I like miss my friends. I feel very disconnected on everybody and their life. And so trying to be purposeful about making time to see friends when I can. Summer's hard because everybody's schedules are all over the place and everybody's on vacation, but just trying to be purposeful even about texting friends when I'm thinking about them, setting up some times to get together, maybe if it's a walk or a quick coffee, whatever it is. Even Marco Polo has been really helpful with some friends to stay connected as well. And then sensory rest. Ever since I learned about that sensory deprivation, I can't unsee it. That idea of like just quiet because we have so much input that noticing when our body is craving quiet, like when I want to turn off the radio in the car or when I want to walk in silence. I've been trying to set times aside in my day for quiet because I have so much overload with 4 kids home, with, social media, with TV, with music, with all these stuff coming at us. But creating some time and some space for some sensory rest has been really helpful. And I also, for creative rest, I'm trying something new. I'm just trying things on for size. As my friend and business coach Allie says, sometimes you just have to experiment, which I don't always like to do. I like to figure it out and just do the thing. So experimentation is hard for me, but I picked up a punch needle kit at a cute little boutique, and I'm gonna try that. So I'll report back. That's my tiny tweak to see if I like punch noodling. I have low expectations because I'm not a big crafter, but it is a cute little house, like kind of just whimsical. And so I was like, it's cute to look at. So maybe I'll actually want to do it. So far, it's still in the box. That's how far I've gotten. Yeah. But I think having the idea that rest looks different and it's not just napping and sleeping more has made me more intentional about looking for those pockets of time and being intentional about it in my day. And then the laundry, kids doing their own laundry is going pretty well. They're definitely doing their own laundry. We just don't have a good system for what day of the week. It's kind of like who has laundry today when we remember. So sometimes we're doing several loads in a day. Sometimes we're not doing any loads. Quite honestly, it's working. So I don't think we need to tweak it. Sometimes we can tweak a system to optimize it for optimization's sake. And I don't actually think we need to change anything. But I still have to help the littles, kind of remind them what they need to do. And getting it out of the dryer seems just as hard for them as it is for me. So having to be kind of like, okay, your stuff's ready. It needs to go upstairs. It needs to be put away. Still some of those reminders. But again, they're kids. And that's just part of the part of the gig. So, and then we're still doing the Sunday tidy rhythm when we're home. So like this last weekend, we weren't home. We were at Dance Nationals, so we didn't do the Sunday tidy. But when we are home, having the kids still, the boys are on odd days doing the vacuuming. On even days, they're doing the bathrooms or vice versa, whatever. They take turns. The girls do the bathroom one weekend, the boys do the vacuuming the other weekend. That has been really helpful at like maintaining. And then I also made the tweak that there is a non-negotiable space that we have to tidy every night for my sanity, and that's the main living space. So our main living space, our kitchen, dining room, and family room are open. And so having that reset at the end of the day is really helpful to my mental state, so that I can start the next morning kind of with a clean slate. So uh, if there are dirty dishes, they just rinse them off and put them in the sink. They're not on the counter. The pillows are put back on the couch. Quincy has some toys that he has in a cabinet on the main level. We put those away. Just having kind of that space be a non-negotiable space that we clean every day. And then bedrooms and basement, kid area, we do that once a week. So on Sundays, that's part of their gig. They clean up the basement because they have to vacuum it. And then also their bedrooms because they're vacuuming that as well. So that has kind of worked for our family to know what my non-negotiable is and then go from there. So, all right, we're going to finish up. I wanted to keep this light, sweet, and to the point, but I wanted to think about like tiny joy lately. And because I ask my guests at this every week, what is a tiny joy that you've had lately? And Scott and I went on a date, quote unquote date, the other day. And we talked about this on our marriage podcast, but like finding time in your schedule to go on like a dinner date is not always possible, especially in this season. But we went out and he needed to get his car. He got new tires on his car. We went to Costco. We walked over to Starbucks and got ourselves a coffee. And then we went to Aldi afterwards. And like we just chit chatted on the way. It was just the two of us. It was really fun. And I would say like it was just a tiny joy in the fact that like we had like this little adventure. It was like a little bit of like fun with work or like a chore. But just a reminder that we can mix fun and work together to make it like a date. So just a reminder, it doesn't always have to include dinner. It doesn't always have to be at a certain time of day or on a Friday or a Saturday to count as a date. And it has been such a tiny joy that I'm looking forward to other opportunities in the not so distant future. And then tiny tweak of the week is one last thing is that I have been asking myself constantly in this season where so much is out of my control, what do I need right now? And, was that like going on a quick walk? Is that sitting for 5 minutes in silence? Is that changing something on my calendar? Is it whiting something out that it's just not going to work, right? Like, what do I need right now? And remembering that I cannot run on empty. And so asking that question often has been so helpful. So it's halfway through summer. And I hope that this encouraged you to kind of see what's working in our family, what's not working, what I have planned, what have I had to tweak. If I've learned anything, it's that nothing is set in stone, especially in the summertime. And that's where tiny tweaks shine, right? It helps us go from stuck in our circumstances. I can't change anything. I just have to live this way for this season to I can flex. And what can we do today to make today a little bit easier? And what can I do tomorrow to make tomorrow a little bit easier? And those tiny tweaks really do add up to helping us not only flex in the season, but give us that empowered feeling of like, hey, I can make a change. I can do something about this, even when so much is out of my control. So ask yourself, what do you need right now? Is there a tiny tweak I can make? And what am I holding on too tightly to? Is there an expectation that I've held on tightly to? Like I need to be part of every one of my kids' memories, or I need to be with my kids all the time and I don't have time for friends. Maybe one of those sparked something for you. But I hope you have a wonderful and happy 4th of July, 250 years in the United States, which is crazy. We will be having a boat parade and watching fireworks over the lake, Lord willing, celebrating with my family. It's our 31st year celebrating the 4th of July on the lake. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year, and I'm so looking forward to just having that special time with my family. So I'm wishing you and yours a very safe and happy 4th of July, 250 years, America. And wishing you a tiny tweak in this next week to simplify your life this summer. See you next week, friends. If you liked this episode, it would mean so much if you'd share it with a friend or leave a quick rating and review so others can find our show. Until next time, you can find me at Simple Purposeful Living on Instagram and Facebook.